So just some reminders before we get into the video. First reminder is to make sure that you're keeping an eye out and an ear out for the key word for this lesson. Reminder number 2 is to make sure you're taking notes. Include the date, lesson number, aim, and standards to help you refer back in your notes. Let's get to it. Okay, so today we are going to be learning about multiplying and dividing integers. So we've already covered adding and subtracting integers. So now we're going to use different strategies to multiply them in lesson 7. So let's go over some strategies for multiplying and dividing because the rules are the same, which makes it easier. So rules for multiplying, the first strategy is basically memorization. So you have to know that when you have the same signs, so if it's a positive and a positive or a negative and a negative, your signs are always going to be positive. So negative times negative is a positive, and a positive times a positive is a positive. Now, if you have different signs, a positive times negative, a negative divided by a positive, then your signs are always going to be negative. The second strategy is a tic-tac-toe. So here we have all the positive values down the diagonal. Basically, you have to get 3 in a row. Your negative values are going to surround your tic-tac-toe down of positive signs down the middle. So if we follow the rules, same signs are going to be positive. Negative times negative is a positive. If we go, let's say, different signs are going to be negative. So negative times a positive is a negative. We have a positive divided by a negative is negative. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. We have negative times a positive is a negative. So we have basically all of our rules in the tic-tac-toe model. Going on to the next strategy. Strategy number 3 is a triangle. So we have our positive at the top point. Then we have our negatives. Basically saying if you have a negative times a negative, it'll be a positive. If we have a positive times negative, you'll get a negative. If we have a positive here, a negative, it's going to be a negative. So basically, you have to make sure your positives are represented and your negative values are represented in the correct spacings. Let's try a practice problem. So I have a negative, I'm multiplying, and I have a positive. So a negative times a positive is always going to be a negative number. They're saying 4 3/4 times 1 1/2. In the calculator, you're going to get 7 1/8, and you have a negative number. If you converted this to a decimal, you would get a terminating decimal because it ends. So negative 7.125. To be honest, fractions are neater, but if you want to use your decimal as long as it's terminating, you can do so. For number 2, we have division. Now negative divided by a negative, and it's going to be positive. And if you use your calculator, 8.8 divided by 2.2 is going to be 4. You do not need the positive symbol. The number 4 will do just fine. Let's try number 3 and 4 on your own. Pause the video and we'll be back to go over the answer. Okay, so number 3. The temperature dropped 3 degrees Fahrenheit every hour for 6 hours. How much did the temperature drop in all? So if you think about it, you have 3 degrees that's dropped, so it's subtracting 3 every hour for 6 hours. So negative 3 times 6 is going to give you a negative number, and 6 times 3 is 18. So it dropped in 18 degrees, and you use the negative to represent that. Number 4. Sarah needs to make bows for her friend's birthday party. She bought 10.5 yards of ribbon from the store. Each bow requires 2.25 yards of ribbon. How many bows can she make? Always a tricky one. So if you have a total of 10.5 yards, you want to figure out how many bows by dividing it by how much each bow requires, so 2 1/4. When you divide this, you have a positive and a positive, so your answer will be positive. So 10.5 divided by 2 1/4. You're going to get a positive 4 2/3. So when you deal with word problems and fractions, you just have to make sure that you are actually answering their question. So how many bows can Sarah make? Well, if Sarah can make 4 2/3, technically she only needs to make, or can make, is 4 without going over the materials. So 4 bows is the answer. And that's it. So if you guys have any questions, please write them down. Make sure you ask them, and good luck on your practice. See you in the next one.